There's a version of you that used to care more. You know exactly who that person was, what they got excited about, what kept them up at night in the best way, what they wanted badly enough that it felt like it lived in their chest. You are not sure when they left. There was no moment, no decision, no event you can point to and say, that was when it changed. They just slowly became less present. And at some point, you noticed that the things that used to matter to you genuinely matter in a way you could feel. Now, just register. You know they should matter. You can construct the argument for why they matter, but the feeling that used to be underneath the argument isn't there anymore. This is not depression. Depression is the presence of something, weight, darkness, pain that is hard to carry. What you are describing is closer to the opposite. It is an absence, a specific, quiet, unsettling absence of the version of yourself that used to feel things fully. In clinical psychology, this is called apathy, but that word is too small for what it actually is. Because apathy is not laziness. It is not ingratitude. It is not a character flaw or a generational weakness or evidence that you have become someone who doesn't try hard enough. It is a biological response to a specific set of conditions. And ancient humans almost never experienced it. Here is why. The human brain generates the feeling of caring, of genuine emotional investment in outcomes through a specific mechanism. Stakes. Real, immediate, visible stakes. The kind where the connection between your effort and the result is direct enough that the brain can feel it. You act. Something happens. The consequence is real and arrives quickly. The brain registers this and files it. What you do matters. And the emotional system stays calibrated, engaged, present, invested. Ancient humans lived inside this mechanism every single day. The hunt either succeeded or it didn't. And if it didn't, the group felt it by nightfall. The fire either held or it didn't, and the body felt the cold within hours. The child was tended carefully or they weren't, and the consequence was immediate and visible and undeniable. There was no gap between effort and outcome, no layer of abstraction between what you did and what it meant. The stakes were always legible, always present, always felt. The brain's emotional investment system does not run on obligation. It does not run on knowing you should care. It runs on consequence, on the felt sense that what you do produces something real in the world around you. When the consequence is immediate, the brain stays engaged. When the consequence is delayed by weeks, months, years, or when it is so diffuse and abstract that the brain cannot draw a clear line between your effort and any visible result, the emotional system begins to disengage. Not dramatically, not all at once, slowly, the way a signal fades when you drive out of range. The modern world is extraordinarily good at producing this state. Neuroscientist Antonio Damasio at the University of Southern California found that people who lose access to their emotional system through brain injury don't become more rational. They become unable to make decisions at all. They can construct arguments and weigh options, but without the signal that tells them what matters, the brain has no basis for choosing. Caring is not a luxury added on top of thinking. It is the system that tells thinking what to do. When the caring fades, the navigation system loses its signal. You know where you are, you know where you could go, but nothing is telling the system which direction matters. There is a concept in psychology called learned helplessness, first documented by Martin Seligman in the 1960s. Animals subjected to outcomes they cannot control eventually stop trying. Even when conditions change and escape becomes possible, the learned association between effort and futility overrides the evidence that things have changed. Apathy has the same structure. Not helplessness exactly, but a learned disconnection. The brain has run its emotional investment system in conditions where the signal between effort and meaningful outcome was too weak or too delayed to register. And gradually, the system adjusted its expectation. It doesn't stop caring because caring is no longer possible. It stops caring because caring has repeatedly produced nothing it could feel. The version of you that used to feel things more fully was not operating on more willpower or more discipline or more inherent passion. They were operating in conditions where the emotional system was receiving better inputs. Younger, perhaps, with shorter time horizons and more immediate feedback loops. Newer to the relationships and goals that hadn't yet been worn smooth by repetition. In environments where the stakes felt visible enough that the brain stayed engaged. The person didn't change. The inputs did. Ancient humans didn't have a word for apathy. The Hadza don't have one. The Kung don't have one. Not because they were more virtuous or more passionate by nature, but because the conditions that produced the drift simply didn't exist in their world. Everything they did had a consequence they could see and feel within hours. Every relationship they maintained was with someone physically present, someone whose nervous system was in genuine contact with theirs every day. Every goal existed on a timescale the brain was built to care about. The emotional system never lost its signal because the signal was always right there. What brings it back is not motivation. Motivation is downstream of caring. You cannot generate it through effort if the caring isn't already there. What brings it back is consequence. Real, immediate, visible consequence. The kind where the brain can feel the line between what you did and what resulted. Smaller stakes, closer in. Work that produces something you can see and touch by the end of the day. A conversation with someone actually present. Not managed, not performed, just real. A physical action whose result arrives in your body within the hour. Not because these things are more important than the large abstract goals, but because they speak the language the emotional system was built to understand. You feed the system the inputs it can read. The signal comes back, slowly, not all at once, but it comes back. The version of you that used to care more is not gone. They are not lost. They have not been replaced by someone lesser. They are waiting for conditions the emotional system recognizes. Real stakes, real presence, real consequence. Close enough to feel.